In today's episode, it's all about helping you study for that next IT certification. So, I have 6 study tips that's going to help you to become better at studying. And these tips can also be applied to anything, not just IT certifications. So, anything that you're preparing for, anything you need to learn, just overall tips to become better at studying. So, stay tuned and don't forget to click like, subscribe, and that notification bell. Welcome to Debt Free in IT. I'm your host, Mike. This podcast is for anyone who's looking to get into the IT industry, whether it's for a career change or you're just interested. I think you come to the right place. As we all know that anytime we're preparing for a new certification, a lot of times it's not just trying to learn that certain technology or that certain specific topic that we're studying for. A lot of times, a lot of the trouble comes into when we're trying to focus and trying to figure out the best way to study. Because let's face it, a lot of times as an adult, we haven't had to study since high school or since college. So when you get into this IT field, like I said, it's all about a lot of times certification. So you're gonna have to start back learning how the best way to study for you. So I've had this issue. I'm sure a lot of other people had the same issue. So what I did is I've got some steps that I've taken to help me study better and to help me focus. So the first tip I have that will help you become better at studying is you're going to set your goals. So this is where you're going to decide on the certification. And then once you decide on that certification, you're going to research any available resources that you can use for that certification. So while researching those available resources, you're also going to try to have an exam date in mind. So if you start studying today, you may say, okay, in 3 to 4 months, I want to go ahead and take this exam. Then let's go one step further. Once you get that date, you want to go ahead and take that exam, go ahead and pay for that exam. That way it's going to create that sense of urgency where you're going to abide by any kind of schedule you set up for your studying habits or how you're going to study every week leading up to that exam date. Because once you put money on the line, you don't want to waste your money. So you're going to go ahead, it's going to force you to be able to go ahead and set time aside during your day and go ahead and study. And then with those available resources, you're going to, sometimes that could be the study guides that a lot of these certifications have. Of course, you want to go and look up, see if your certification has any kind of exam topics that you can use to study by. And then it could be you getting some video courses. And then, of course, you want to get the lecture books or the OCG books and kind of go by those. A lot of times the OCG books, they're kind of created with those exam topics in mind to where some of them may have the exam topics inside the book, and then it lets you know what chapter that topic is covered on. And then after that, you're going to decide on if there's any legit practice exams that you can use to help you better prepare for this certification. So you're going to start looking around for those. And then overall, just this is where we're coming up with a plan of how we're going to tackle this certification. So look up any kind of resources that's available. Like I said, just overview, study guides, video courses, the OCG book, some exam topics if your certification has it, practice exams, and then most of all, you want to go ahead and set a date that you want to take your exam. So the second tip I have to help you become better at studying is we're going to break the certification down into smaller pieces. So pretty much once you get that exam topic, the exam topics or the cert outline from the first step, we're going to take that and break it down to how we want to study it. So this could be that we're going to study by chapter. So every study session, we're going to try to study a whole chapter. Or it could be that we're going to study a specific topic that it lists in those exam topics. So we're going to study that whole topic each study session. Or it could be that you're going to choose a certain time frame you're going to study by. So you may say, okay, every day I want to study an hour a day. And then you may say, okay, during the week, I don't have that much time available, so I'm going to try to do an hour a day or an hour every other day, whatever fits your schedule. Then you say, my weekends, I got more free time. So the weekend, you may end up doing 2 or 3 hours in one day, depending on how much free time you have. But the second tip, this is where we're going to pretty much come up with a way to study and choose how we want to study, whether it be by chapter or by time or by the certification exam topic. So this is where we're going to choose that at. So the third tip I have to help you become better at studying is to create a study schedule. So this is where you're going to plan the times that you want to study. So you can do this either by allocating blocks of time for studying. So if you use a planner, you can plan out your days by saying, okay, I got free time every morning from 9 to 10 or 9 to 11. So I'm going to block out that time on my calendar and use that time for studying. Or you may say, okay, I got free time in the afternoon when I get in from work from 5 to 6. So I'm going to block out that time and use that time just for studying. And then also you could say, okay, how many hours do I want to study or how many days I want to study in a week? So you take a week, you may say, okay, I think I can make it about 3, 4 days a week trying to study. So you set up that schedule and then you try to stick with it. So during this time, you are gonna miss some days. Trust me, we all miss days. But what we're trying to build is that consistency. Because once you do it for a while, it's gonna become a habit. Once it becomes a habit, it's gonna be easier for you. So the more you do it, also the more you're gonna retain from doing it. So you're gonna create that schedule as best as you can and try to stick to that schedule. If you're finding value in this episode and you're listening via YouTube or your favorite podcasting app, please leave me a review or a comment. If you have a friend who needs to hear this, please share this episode with them. So the fourth tip I have to help you become better at studying is we're going to practice time management to maintain high productivity. So pretty much this is where you're going to use different studying techniques. One technique that I like is the Pomodoro method or the Pomodoro technique. And pretty much what this is an app you can download on your computer or you can download it on your phone. And what it does, you set your study times or your studies, how long you want to study. So let's say if I say, okay, I want to study for 2 hours today, but instead of trying to study 2 hours straight and picking up my phone, getting distracted, answering the phone, moving around, going different places while I'm trying to study, and just not being able to stay focused. What this Pomodoro timer would do, you download it on your phone. There's plenty of apps out there. They have go by different names. The one I usually like is I've been using one I think it's called Forest, where it plants trees while you're studying. But what this does is with that Pomodoro timer, you set it up for let's say 30 minutes. So what it does is you set the timer, you start it, and then what you do, you try to just focus on studying for those 30 minutes without picking up your phone, without getting distracted by anything, just straight studying for 30 minutes. And then what happens is when that 30 minutes is over, it'll beep or make some kind of alert to go off, and then it'll give you a break. So what this does, it gives you 30 minutes of studying, 5 or 10 minute break where you can walk around, you can pick up your phone, you can go on social media, and then when that 5 or 10 minutes is up, you go back to studying without looking at your phone, without picking up your phone again. So a lot of times with this is I like it because it makes time go by faster. So if you're studying, you're not looking at your phone, you'll quickly realize that time is flying by. So before you know it, you've been sat there and studied for 3 to 4 hours that day without even feeling like you done studied that long. So using that Pomodoro technique, like I said, that was a game changer uh, for me. So practice time management and high productivity by looking into this Pomodoro technique. So the fifth tip I have to help you become better at studying is you're going to use an effective note-taking technique. So this is where you're going to figure out which type of notes help you retain the most. So for instance, for me, back in my younger days, I used to be a rapper or I used to try to rap. So I used to write down my rhymes. So anytime I write down my rhymes, it was easier for me to remember them. So with that being said, now where technically I used to write down any key points from any certification I'm studying or any video I'm watching about that certification. But now instead of writing it down, I just type it, which is real similar to me writing it down because just by me typing it, it helps me to go over it, kind of like go over it again just by typing it. So I'll type out my notes. Most of the time I use something like OneNote. I've been using that for a couple of years now. So OneNote, you have a couple of other note taking apps out there. If you have an iPhone, you got a notes app on your phone. So I just put down anything that I think is key while I'm reading like I said, the certification guide or anything like that while I'm watching the video. I put down all my keynotes. And then, like I said, I start going over those keynotes. The good thing about typing it out in a OneNote or Apple Notes is that it's everywhere you go. So long as you have your phone on you, you can look at your notes. So if you somewhere and you're bored, you can open up your notes and start reviewing things the highlights of the chapters or the videos that you done watched or the chapters you done read. And then also, this is where you can also figure out if hands on is going to help you to retain it better. So if your certification or topic you're studying has any kind of hands on to it, then just you may figure out that, okay, by me doing this hands on lab or by doing this multiple times, it helps me to retain it better. And then also you pair that with whichever way you like to take notes. So pretty much you're reinforcing that technology. And then also, this is where you can make flashcards. So you can buy the little 3x5 note cards. They have, most of the time, they sell them in grocery stores or Walgreens or any kind of office supply stores. So you can buy these flashcards, buy these little note cards, and pretty much for your exam books, a lot of times they'll have questions at the beginning of the chapter or at the end of the chapter. So you can make flashcards out of those questions. And then that way you can take time to go over those flashcards where you can have the answer on front. The question on front and the answer on back. You can review those flashcards a couple of times a day or every other day or once a week. And then that can help you to better retain some of the information that you went over the week of your studying. And then also sometimes like you got flashcard apps out there like ANKI. I always call it Anki. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's ANKI, where you can make custom flashcards too, where you can type the questions in there and create your flashcards. That way you have it on your phone and you can go over it and just study your questions that you created. And also the questions don't have to be the questions out of the book. It could be from the notes you take. You make your own questions to help you retain that information. But like I said, those flashcards is going to come in handy, and also practicing that hands-on and just figuring out the best way that you're going to retain it, as far as whether you're typing your notes or if you're someone that likes to write it. And then finally, once all of that is done, then you're going to start going over these your practice exams. So if there's a practice exam to the certification you're going for, I know a lot of times with the OCG books or any other networking book, a lot of times it comes with a free practice exam, or you may have a third party. I'm big on Boson. You may have a third party that you can go get their practice exams, and then you can use those. So a lot of times those are pretty much, you don't have to make flashcards because they're pretty much online where you can go to them anytime and go over those exams. So all of this is just going to help you to get better and prepare for that certification. So the last step I have to help you get better at studying, this is where you can join a study group or find a study partner. So it comes in handy when two people is doing something. Like if you're working out and you're working out by yourself, a lot of times if you don't feel like working out, you'll just leave. But if you have a partner, 9 times out of 10, if you don't feel like working out, your partner might be up to working out. So you'll stay just because you don't want to leave them hanging. So the same thing goes here. So you find a partner or someone that's trying to study or get the same certification you're trying to get. And then you can say, okay, we're going to hop on a Zoom session and just study together or go over some different topics. It might be a topic you know more than your partner, or vice versa. It might be something that they know a little bit better than you. And then they can help explain it to you and you can learn from each other. And then if you can't find a partner, a lot of times you can find large study groups like on Facebook. They may have groups of some sort, Discord groups where you have multiple people studying for the same certification, where you may go live with each other like once a week or something like that, just to see how everyone is doing and make sure everyone is on track. And also what it's going to do is going to help keep you accountable, because with everyone else studying, a lot of time it's going to motivate you to study some. So that's my sixth and my last tip to help you become better at studying. So that brings me to the end of this episode. Hopefully you found some value. If you're on Instagram or TikTok, you can follow me at debtfreeinit. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me at debtfreeinit@gmail.com. Other than that, I'll see you next week. Peace.